Hello everyone, today I'll be showing you the final game in my constructed run with the Boros deck. I wish I'd started recording earlier, but honestly I did it as a joke and didn't expect to have such good results. My previous highest win was 4 wins and then I went out almost immediately. This time around I got 5 quick wins, but then ran into some adversity and ended up at 6 wins, 2 losses heading into the final game. I don't think it actually matters if you get the 7th game, reward wise you get a little more gold, but I already paid for my entry, so I pretty much got what I wanted out of this, but yeah, let's jump into the game. So, first turn I kept my cards, but from the start I think I made a mistake, because I was too eager to play the Hero's Hawk. My hand was kind of tough because Stone Quarry doesn't give you the mana the turn it's played, so I had to decide which turn I wanted to ruin. So I decided to ruin my second turn instead of the first, and that was a mistake. I should have held the Hero's Hawk back and played the dinosaur on this turn. Now my turn 2 is garbage and I just get to attack with a Hawk, and I don't even get to attack because my opponent is going to play a spell and kill the Hawk. Which is pretty important in aggro versus aggro, because I could have gotten 1 HP from this Hawk or even a lot more HP, but didn't. And now he has the perfect turn 2, the Runaway Steamkin. It's the mono red god card. So I finally get to the turn 3 I wanted. I play the Paragon because I think it's a pretty strong creature and obviously I could kill the kin if he attacks because I have first strike. But instead I lose another creature to removal spell and I'm off to a terrible start. Now I only have 3 mana, but I get another land off the top, and now I can decide whether I should kill the creature now or play 2 creatures myself. And I think because I fucked up at the start of the game, I decide to play 2 creatures to try and fill up my board. It's aggro versus aggro, so you want more creatures on the board. However, most likely I should have just played the Raptor and killed the kin with my take Vengeance, because now you're going to see how my opponent manages to abuse my mistake. He uses the Lightning Strike to kill the Boros Challenger, and now I have no control over my Raptor, and my opponent is going to make his Steamkin a 4-4, and I'm going to lose my Raptor because I can't not block. That's the problem with using this Raptor, you have no control over his blocking and attacking. So I'm getting completely dumpstered by my opponent. I have the Take Vengeance, but it doesn't matter at this point because I already lost both creatures. I shouldn't have lost the Raptor, definitely, and the Boros Challenger wouldn't even be on the field. So, terrible play by me in the final game, the 9th game. But my opponent had some pretty good cards, I must admit that. He used all his counters before I get to kill his creature, so I even lose in that regard. And finally, I'm down to one last card. I have the Legion's Edge attacker. Honestly, my opponent could have traded right here and I would be dead, because he has 3 cards advantage over me, but he isn't overeager like me, holds back, wants to build up his Runaway Steamkin. There's no reason to lose that card, honestly, so why would he attack? Why would he block, honestly? And of course he has the Rekindling Phoenix, which I also run, but I won't actually pull in this game, and I think I'm done. Right now I wanted to attack with Legion's Edge and see if he plans to block, because he could have blocked with the Phoenix, but Legion's Edge has first strike if you pay some mana. Unfortunately he doesn't block because he's slightly smarter than me, and now the game is pretty much over. In spite of my terrible start, I think I got the game reasonably close. Like, keep in mind my opponent got pretty good draws, pretty good plays, but I think he was more efficient with his cards and he definitely deserves the win. At this point I don't want to block with the Boros Challenger because I'm infinitely behind already. I'm basically hoping for a trump card off the top, but I don't get it. I get just the Paragon, and right now I can decide who I should attack with. In the end I think I pick the Legion's Edge and the Boros Challenger to attack with, which, let's admit it, I was desperate already. I'm at 5 HP, he likely has Burn in his hand, I'm going to lose anyway. my plan was just to block the runaway Steamkin, drop to 1 HP and try to win on the next turn with another good draw, but let's be honest, this is going to be my last turn because I'm out of cards, I'm out of HP. Imagine if the Hero's Hawk actually got that 1 HP, maybe it could have mattered, maybe not. But yeah, I think this game was a nice lesson not to be overeager with cards like the Hero's Hawk and be careful with duo lands. I think I screwed myself from the start and then the mistakes sort of snowballed. But yeah, I'm already dead, I almost did the rage concede, but it doesn't really matter. GG to my opponent, he played much better than me. So this was not the game I wanted to show you, but it's the only one that I managed to record. I still got 6 wins, I get 2 rare cards and 800 gold, that's pretty good, but yeah. I definitely wanted the 7th win, I'm disappointed I didn't get it, but maybe in my next variation of the Boros deck I'll be able to do it. Now I'm going to claim the prize and show you my rewards. After this I'm going to show you the deck list. As promised, here is the deck list I used. I'm actually going to start from the lands. These were automatic, I haven't decided how many to use, but yeah, generally speaking you want a bit more planes. But this is an important part. I inputted Stone Quarry because as soon as they see a Boros Guild Gate, they know for a fact you're Boros. Also, I wanted to put a slight note. Make sure to use plains whenever you can instead of mountains, because as soon as they see red, you're either mono red or Boros and you've given the game away. Always make sure you can hold back some information back from your opponent. Unfortunately, if you put down a plains and then put down a Hero's Hawk, I guess the game is up, technically speaking. So yeah, I really like the Hero's Hawk. It can get buffed by the mentors and then it gets pretty fucking dangerous. Other than that, I'm using 2 goblins. I think this is probably one of the worst cards in the deck. I literally don't understand how this card is ever supposed to be good. Anything can kill this. I guess if it can buff the bird, if you have a pretty shitty turn 2, I don't even know when this is supposed to get value out. But whatever, I put it in. It's in every Boros list, so I'm giving it a shot. Next up, the Sunhome Steward. I probably pronounced that wrong, but whatever. Only 2 mana. 2/2 first strike mentor, pretty awesome. Usually I can use this to bait out removal like lightning strike instead of killing my Boros challenger. Moving on to the Boros challenger, of course I have 4 of them. I just got 1 recently to finish this set off. Absolutely perfect card for this deck, no complaints whatsoever, and later on can get kind of huge if you can invest the 4 mana. Legion Guild Mage is one of those cards I wouldn't want to have more than 1 of or 2 of maximum, but this card can win you the game. The 6 mana deal 3 damage sounds so fucking expensive, but at that point in the game you might not be able to attack anymore, or you might not be able to attack for a second, and you might need that extra bit of burn to finish the game off, so that ability can be awesome. And otherwise, if you just need to tap 1 target so you can keep attacking, pay 3 mana and absolutely destroy your opponent. Perfect card, honestly. I think I'm going to get a second one in eventually. Next up, the Relentless Raptor. I think this card is fucking garbage, to be honest, but it's a 3/3 creature, it has vigilance, you have no fucking control over it, and you can't mentor it almost never. But it's a dangerous thing for your opponent to deal with. They technically have to deal with this. I know it's very stupid to have a card you can't control, but I needed another 2-drop, and right now I don't have another Legion Guild Mage, I don't have another Sunhome card, so I put in the Raptor. It goes with the red and white team, and I think it's slightly better than I give it credit for, but yeah. So, moving on to 3-drops, I have 3 of these now, 3 of the Paragons. This card looks slightly weak until you notice that once again it has 3 special abilities, one being, the important one being Vigilance, so you can start pressuring your opponent, even if the game looks close. First strike is always good. Lifelink is surprisingly good when you take into account I have my favorite angel on this team. This angel is probably a bit out of the Boros team, but still it's flying, it has lifelink conditionally. It can create even more flying tokens for you, which is amazing. I think this is conditionally good, and that's why I put it in. Now, going back to another one-off in my deck, I think the Kinjali Sinwing is probably underrated slightly. It has flying, it taps opponent creatures, which is important to me, that's why I put it in. And I think this probably gets cut eventually, but for now I really like it. Pegasus, Courser and Rock Charger is the same creature. Basically it's a 1/3 flyer, so perfect target for the mentors. And it can make something else fly. Now I think this was the key to getting so many wins in my run in Constructed, because if you can make all your creatures fly, what do you know? Not a lot can stop them, considering most creatures stay on the ground and don't have reach. So I think these are pretty awesome, and I think 4 is actually the right number. I thought about running only 2, but I actually want to have at least one of these. It's so good, and even 2 on the field is amazing. You're very rarely going to get more than 2 in a game anyway. Next up, I have Tajik Legion's Edge. I think this card is next to garbage, but it can conditionally have first strike. It puts on a ton of pressure against your opponent. They have to deal with this immediately because it has 3 attack, and it can buff everything else pretty much in your deck that's lower attack, obviously. And to be honest, every time I think of this card as a removal spell that also buffs another character. I think it's one of the worst cards in the deck, but still, I think 2 of it is fine. Now, finally, moving on to the expensive drops, I have a Rekindling Phoenix because it's part of one of those free packs. I think the 2 fire mana is a bit expensive, but still, it's only 4 mana, it's 4/3 that keeps reviving itself. You can get a ton of value out of this, and again, it's flying, so that's pretty important. Finally, creature-wise, it's the True Fire Captain. I think this is extremely expensive, and I've gotten fucked quite a few times, even in my Constructed run now, that was pretty successful, by having this card, because there are a lot of times where the gates don't show up, and the wrong type of mana keeps showing up, and you can't play this, but still, it has 4 attack, which is immensely important. It has Mentor, which is also immensely important. And when it dies, when it takes damage even, not even dies, it hits your opponent's face. So this card I think is a great to have one of, and that's why I put it in. Now let's move on to the spells. I have just 1 integrity for now, and no integrity at all when I actually play this deck. I think this card is slightly overrated. If I had a second one I might put it in, but to be honest not really. I think 1 is fine. I very rarely get to use the intervention. I think this is kind of expensive if you're running it for the intervention. Take Vengeance because I think it's a pretty straightforward removal spell. I have only 2 of these. I probably should have more, to be honest, but I feel more comfortable with the creatures because I tend to be unlucky, so I like to put in more creatures just to have something on the board. Lightning Strike 4 of because, what do you know, hitting your opponent in the face is pretty good, and it's also a premium removal spell in my opinion. 2 mana for 3 damage, what more can you ask for? Justice Strike is pretty tricky. I think I should have maybe 2 of it, not sure though. It's a pretty tricky removal spell because against the mirror, most of their creatures have less attack than health, so you can't actually remove a creature. Because it's slightly gimmicky, I think just 1 or 2 of it is fine. Conclave Tribunal is probably one of the best cards in the deck. I have 2 of it because I managed to get an extra one in a pack. I think this is the most important removal spell in the deck pretty much. You can get rid of a blocker that isn't attacking, so if someone isn't attacking you can't kill them with this. But with Conclave Tribunal you get rid of them, and there aren't that many cards that kill enchantment, so it's a pretty safe way to get rid of something important. Finally, Heroic Reinforcements. I think this card is gimmicky, I admit that completely, but I don't have all the cards yet, so I have to rely on some gimmicks, and I think this is a pretty fun gimmick because it's not that expensive, just like the Phoenix when you think about it, but the upside can be so big. If you play this on turn 4 with 2 creatures on the board, you're likely going to win the game, and that's how I got at least 1 or 2 wins along my run. I think if you play this with just 1 creature on the board, it can still be conditionally okay, but at least it sets up a threat. In earlier versions of the deck, I had 3 of these, and at times even 4. That was unreasonable as fuck. I think I thought this card was a lot better than it actually is. But with just 2, I think it's the perfect amount to get it every once in a while, and every once in a while it's going to win you the game, so I think it's perfect to have 2 of. That's it for the deck, that's the current version I'm using. I finally got 6 wins, I'm mega disappointed in myself, I couldn't get the 7th one, but what can you do? I got the 2 rare cards, got 800 gold, so can't complain too much. I'm probably going to upgrade my Ancient Artifacts deck a bit more with the cards I actually got, but we'll see. Thanks as always for watching this video, see you on the next one, or the next stream, whenever the fuck that is. Bye.